Hey. Hi. I'm here to talk about my new iPhone 13 and iOS 15 and walk through some of the setup. Basically, I ordered a new iPhone, even though I've been on the beta for several months. It gave me a really fresh perspective, and I thought this might be a fun way to look through the phone, talk about setting up, mention things on iOS 15 or iPhone 13 as they come up. I'm gonna say those backwards at least twice. That's my guess. You can bet higher or lower. We'll see how I do. But I wanted to walk through it live so that I could talk through the things because these notifications kept popping up and they were the type of things I wanted to chat about and talk about how they might impact us or things we might want to set up to be better stewards of our attention or just because they're fun features. And so I thought I'd walk through this. We'll see what happens. I have a few other videos I'd like to do. We'll see how time goes, how long this takes, and how exhausted I am at the end of it. So I have not activated this phone yet. I have had it since Saturday, and today is Tuesday. This is a sacrifice because when I realized how interesting it was, I decided to not use my brand new phone for several days. The other advantage is no notifications are going to pop up that might be confidential because I don't have the messaging app for my clients on here. I don't have my emails on yet. And so it allows me to really look deeper without having to be quite as cautious as I normally would walking through my phone. So here's my new phone, and I can adjust the picture. Let's go with awesome. Of course, this is the day when all of a sudden my normal screen just won't show up or won't work right. Of course it is. It waits till now when it looked fine, like 5 minutes ago when I was checking. Yeah, that's not what I'm looking at all. Okay, let's check on this one. Awesome. Of course, because my phone's not locked. I don't know why it was looking locked, but it was definitely looking locked. There we go. So this is completely out of the box. Not I have done nothing to set it up or anything like that. It's how it looks. Oh, I've got a better one. Surely we can do the screen, but, it doesn't wanna do that. Uh, no, you're just gonna be a jerk right now. Okay, so we'll just look at the screen. Really glad I put on makeup for nothing. It's, always fun. What did I say? Cut. There we go. Okay, so this is my phone. It's completely organic out of the box. Actually, I turned on interesting. Okay, so one of the biggest features to iOS 15 is the introduction of focus modes. This is basically do not disturb and the sleep mode that was introduced, I think last year, and then the do not disturb while driving, like all got together and decided to like birth an entire family. And so that that's what focus mode is. It's the idea that okay, yeah, there's this idea of what you might want to do while you're driving or what you might want to have at um certain things you might want to happen at bedtime or certain things you might want to happen in do not disturb and just said, you know what? Let's let people customize them. So you can create your own. And I have a filming mode, which is great. Unless I'm demoing something that involves badges, in which case it is less good. So I'm going to turn that off and it automatically syncs. So even though I have not set these up at all, it's here. It's right here already. These are the ones I have set up on the other device, or they're just there by default, and there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, there's nothing. I can stop the syncing, I think. But, I didn't know I was turning it on this phone. I just thought I was making it so people wouldn't call on my other phone in the middle of streaming. But I wanted to show these off because anyone who has heard me ramble for very long knows I'm not a very big fan of things suddenly make um that suddenly show up badges. I'm not I'm cautious with my badges use. Let's put it that way. And so having just trying to get this set up a little bit cuter. But I don't think it's gonna do it. Set up anyway, not a very focused is what I'm not. Um I'm not gonna have reminders. And this is the one I really want to give a little fish shake to Apple is there is a badge right now for music. Why is there a badge for music? A badge because of its color and the way it appears, it's something that's supposed to get our attention, which means it should be something that's very personalized and relevant to us. We should be cautious with what things have badges on them when we're looking at badges. So I might be a little bit grumpy that music has badges when the thing they're wanting to show me is very slowly loading ad for Apple Music. Uh, wow. Okay. You're gonna just have to take my word for that, because wow. I actually, don't have any signal, or I'd go to data because this isn't my current phone. Nice. Really happy you couldn't connect for that ad. So Apple set it up so that I'm getting a badge for Apple Music so that they can give me an ad. This is super not cool. So I can do something about that. The thing that I can do about that is go into my notification settings, which are gonna look different than they did before. Um, Gone is the option to hit deliver quietly, which is a bit too bad. But wow, these are completely inappropriate. I can't think of what emergency could ever come out of music that would mean I need a time sensitive notification. And to talk about this really quickly, they have the idea of time sensitive notifications. There are still some serious bugs with summary. The idea for things that are not time sensitive. I really love the idea that they're introducing the idea of time notifications. They're ones that we don't have to address all at the time. That's great because most notifications really aren't time sensitive and we can just look at them casually. However, careful by having these time sensitive notifications that for them are ads. I I don't know what should ever come from music. I can't fathom why it would be time sensitive by default. When I was watching the things were being called time sensitive that maybe really shouldn't be, I didn't expect Apple would be setting such, and I didn't know this just right away because I already had notes off for music on my previous phone that had just been upgraded to the beta. So a lot of times I don't see these things until I really do try some. Pulling this up again, kids are going off. And there used to be a deliver quietly, and this is sort of taking the place of that. Um, it is possible that Apple has something that could go to my notification center. I can imagine what music would ever need to notify me about. But theoretically, if I just wanted to say, hey, maybe you have something useful to say, but it's certainly not going to be urgent, I'd take off banners and lock screen and sounds and badges because yikes, what would I ever need to address that would be that urgent that it should interrupt what I'm doing? Show previews when unlocked. That's fine, I guess. Um, I actually am probably gonna just turn this off because I don't have a reason for music to notify me. But if I were gonna keep it on, I would keep it in this just notification center. Yikes. Okay, let's look around a little bit. In the home app, what have we got a badge on for? Yeah. Hmm. I don't know what that badge is for. Sort of laid out in the way that Apple wants you to pay attention to things. I'm not sure how many people actually use their phone. It may not be an actually very high number. So some of these we could just, move. Now, in case you've not been exposed to this before, so this is an option to just do away with the app screens entirely. You don't have to see them, you don't have to know what's happening with them. You just use app library. And what that is it's just they organize it for you. So if we look at it, it's over in this back page if you have pages set up. And they're organized by what they're suggesting, which is going to be pretty random at this point because you've seen most of the apps I've opened on this phone so far. Recently added, oh, right, that's going to be all of them. But they've got utilities, creativity. Once you've installed more apps, it can be useful. I will say, occasionally, I find when I search for an app by pulling down from a regular menu screen, sometimes it's searching through so many things that it's real slow. And if what I'm looking for is an app, sometimes when I go to the app library and search for it there, that actually works better because it's not trying to search, I don't know, the whole of the internet to find an answer. So occasionally that gets me there faster, but that really is a bug. Um, these are the default widgets. I haven't installed any widgets. I can't fathom why I need a maps widget. Put off. Notes. Okay. Um, but they do have it by default in here. There are some widgets. Of course, news is in here. Let's take a look at the actual sort of widget page. So that is, we're just swiping to the left from the front home screen. No, that's not what I wanted. So these are these are the ones that are in by default. I can't tell you how much I don't think anyone should have a news widget. The only thing worse is news notifications because, wow, is that a great way to spoil the rest of my day to find out that something happened? It doesn't matter what my political affiliation is. Mostly things that are newsworthy are not uppers. They usually don't help our productivity at all. They usually don't help our sense of well being. It doesn't mean that there's not a time and a place to peruse news, but it should be mindful and intentional and not something that jumps in your face. Unless you actually work for a news agency and really need to be that on top of it, notifications and this widget are not appropriate. A little bit like the notifications in Apple Music, it's Apple trying to shove their services down our throat, and it's kind of gross and something they should be embarrassed about. I know it's standard practice. I know it's normal. It's not cool though. So let's get rid of some widgets. Stocks. Okay, whatever. Everybody's doing bad, I guess. I don't know. These would not be my choices to have on here. Um, so I am just going to remove some. I don't know. I don't even understand what a maps widget does. I got nothing. Oh, I'm not showing you the screen. I really wish that my pre-made thing was working. I already removed news. I probably don't need the tips, although, it's a good place to learn about things. I actually like the battery widget. Not so much for my phone, but, when this is actually set up, it'll have my watch, my AirPods. Um, in it so it can tell me where I don't need stocks. Like, again, even if I had oh, it's screen time widget, and I've used the health app because I was sitting in it. Oh, it's not a health widget. Wow, these are not labeled. Um, I like having bigger Siri suggestions. Okay. All kinds of stuff before of like, "Hey, do you wanna set this up? Hey, do you wanna set this up?" And it's not doing that now that I'm actually on the stream. I was like, "Oh, go away, come back and prompt me later when I'm actually showing people things," and it's not doing that now. Um, so if that's what I was doing, I I need I need help tracking what I'm doing. Um, if we search in here for library. So we have the option instead of using a home screen, um, to have newly installed apps only go to the app library. That means if I don't want to have a lot of screens on, I can just have new apps go there. I don't worry about them bleeding over into another section. So if I wanted to just have all the apps automatically categorized for me, this is something I could do. Notification badges in app library, unless that's the only place you are having apps show up, sounds a little bit crazy making to me. Just it sounds like a good way to see way too many badges, and that is just distracting. So I have the option to have new apps only go to the app library. I'm probably not going to do that, but if you find yourself like not organizing them it's a very automatic way to just have them go somewhere else and not be in your way. That way you can find the apps that you regularly use intentionally, not accidentally, on your app screen. So that is one option that you could set up, and if you're gonna do it right away on a new phone because then you don't have to worry about every time you install a new app, it's going to the wrong spot, things like that. Man, it's not telling me to set anything up now. That's weird. That's really weird to me. If I am going to go in and set up some notifications, I can do, for example, oh yeah, you know what I never needed a notification from? It's the App Store. Like, just never. I don't need that. So let's just actually go through these built-in apps and what I'm actually keeping or not keeping. I really want a screen where you can see both of these. You know, the one I made. That's not working. Um, it's just again, time sensitive. Why on earth would those be time sensitive? Just in case there actually somehow is something someday, I'll have notification center only. Do you wanna take me to books to do that? Oh! Oh, these are what notifications from having the app say, "Hey, what things is it okay to alert me of?" Okay, great. Yeah, I don't want any of these. The reading goals are totally arbitrary, and it's try to gamify it and stuff, but okay. Although they do say at the bottom, which is your notifications, viewing, and interaction data with your Apple ID. So they're telling you what things they are tracking of yours. I have accomplished today's reading goal. I don't know how I did that, but I guess these are books I have on my other one, and I listened to a book for a few minutes. Okay. Um, Up here we have this is new for iOS 15. We have the scheduled summary, and inside the scheduled summary, there this is that thing where it's going to pop up in your notification center with a big blob. So it pops up and it says, "Hey, here's your scheduled summary." as I said, there's and some kinks to work out. When you tap on it, it's sometimes persistent, sometimes not. It still seems like they're tweaking. And of course, I'm using a beta on my regular phone that I've been using, where it shows up and when it shows up. Because before it would say, hey, these are scheduled to summarize. It was right at the top. So if it was something distracting, I'd still look at it right away when I looked at my notification center because it's at the top and I'm only human. That's been happening less, although I'm not sure I could tell you exactly what it's been doing instead. Um, but it is an interesting option. Because there's some things I don't need to know through the whole day. I could just know at some later time. I'm not gonna put text messages in there because I don't wanna just see them twice a day, but I might put in, if I had a not time sensitive Slack, I might do that. Or, I get notifications, not like in your face ones, but, deliver the what the old version called deliver quietly. I got those inside of my summary, so it would say, "Oh, a new client scheduled a thing." That's nice to know, like, "Oh, great. I haven't heard from them in a while. Awesome, I'm gonna see that person," and it sorta gets my brain thinking about where they are and where they were last time or something like that. Gives me an idea of things ahead of time. The summary has promise. I imagine it's gonna continue to evolve over the course of iOS 15. I don't think it's done being tweaked with, so don't judge it entirely based on what your initial experience is with it. It will probably change a little bit. It'll probably grow and evolve, and like many of these features, if there's something in particular you wanna see, contacting Apple feedback is a good way to get the message across because they don't always know exactly how we're really gonna use these features. I do find it disappointing that scheduled summary is just off by default. Now, perhaps one of those prompts that made me think I should do a live stream was this. I don't remember now, but it's one of those things. It could have happened, maybe it didn't. So, scheduled summary, I'm turning it on, and it says it gives you that's kind of what it looks like. Summary notification summary. I swear I'm not dyslexic. Um, So you're bundling the non-urgent notifications. Here's the thing is it still looks like a big summary, even if there's only one app in there, which hadn't been the case for me. Um, but it's there, it's fine. So I'm gonna hit continue. What are summary? Wallet, definitely. Tips, definitely. Reminders, no. Um, Here's the thing. In theory, books belongs in there, but you know what else books belongs? Is probably not notifying me at all. Um, FaceTime makes no sense because I want to know when a person's calling me, when they're calling me, because it's usually, like, my nephew or my sister. Find My because some of the current Find My alerts, especially if you have AirTags, are gonna be things, and this is new to iOS 15, they're going to be things like, "Hey, you left your wallet there." And I don't know if you're like me, but I have definitely gotten very confused and gotten home and thought, "Where did I go there with a bag or did I not go there with a bag?" And I completely left a bag at somebody's house, like, back in the before times at a book club or something. Um, so no, you wouldn't get those alerts, a reasonable time. Usually Find My alerts are gonna be more time sensitive, even if it's something like, um I have an alert when my mom gets between one town and mine, so I know for sure she's, like, traveling. "Oh, she's coming over soon," 'cause she doesn't always tell me ahead of time, and so then I have, like, a little bit of warning that she's on her way, and if I got that hours later, she'd already be here, so, yeah, I can't have that one be later. Um Health isn't a bad one to get a summary of. Certainly, you don't need a noise going off for your health alert. Home is also probably gonna be more time sensitive. M If you do get mail alerts, this isn't a bad way to do it. In the old version, I had things deliver quietly, so that is it would appear in my notification center, but no badge, no sound, no banners, no lock screen. So, summary isn't a bad idea for mail. However, I actually probably do wanna see them with more time sensitivity. And cut in real issues with the scheduled notifications is you're picking a time you want them to be delivered. Your days have to be in a very predictable order for that to make a lot of sense. That's been my biggest struggle with it. I like the idea a lot. Like, I don't need it right now. It can come later. But my schedule isn't so regular that I've figured out the right time. And I've been using this since June that I figured out the right time to deliver. I think it still needs some tweaking. Because I had it set for 9 a.m. I thought, "Oh, I'll be ready to go." Well, some days I'm actually starting my first meeting at 9, and that's a terrible time. I don't get it if I've already started the meeting, like, I just won't see the scheduled summary, but I haven't I just haven't found a great time for me that is a good time all the time. I mean, I kinda like the idea of a lunch if you have a very regular lunch hour, because you can be like, "Oh, yeah, here's this thing." But again, if you're dividing it by a work day, what are you does that mean that everything in there is personal? And so I'm having it delivered at a personal hour like lunch, or is some of it work related and just not time sensitive? Um, so I have the emails on deliver quietly, and it's great. If I'm going out for a lunch walk, that is a great time for me to respond to short emails. But I don't do that at exactly the same time every day. And so that's been one of my main struggles. Yeah, getting a text because, I had to turn off the filming mode in order to show you badges. Um, so those are some of the issues with the schedule. If you have a really obvious time, like, thinking on it, a good time would be maybe while I'm usually on the elliptical. The only problem is part of the time I'm the that I'm on the elliptical, I actually am still on downtime. So I'm not getting really any notifications at all. And I certainly don't want them to come through while I'm still like I have this weird thing that downtime does not respect where the time between when I wake up and when I get on an elliptical machine, for me personally, those are times I need just no interruptions at all because I can go down rabbit holes really easy first thing in the morning. And then the time after I'm off the elliptical, like, showering, morning routine until I'm like ready to start work, those are also terrible times for me to get any notifications because what I need is focus, and that's not always in short or strong supply. Like, at night, it's not a big deal because between it's time to wind down and going to sleep, none of those are good times for me to be interrupted or distracted. But the morning kinda has this break because I like to address short tasks on the elliptical. That's probably just me, but it has added to my, when do I get this scheduled delivery?" Fortunately, because all of the things that go there are not time sensitive at all, it I haven't found the right time, but it also hasn't mattered a lot because they could come anytime and it's just not a big deal. I'm not sure other than the fact that it's not there during certain hours, which is kinda cool. Like, for some things, it's gonna send me down a rabbit hole, and so I really can't afford to get it early. Yeah, I haven't found the right time. I think it has promise, but I'm not sure what the really practical benefit is above and beyond deliver quietly, which I kind of miss as having an automated option. No, I'd like you to deliver quietly. There's no button for that anymore. You have to manually, which feels this does feel like a huge step back. You have to manually uncheck all those items. So there's a little of my rant. Okay, let's get back to this. Oh, I got my stand alert. Okay. Calendar is definitely inappropriate for scheduled later. So is phone. But photos is a really good one. If if you're getting news alerts, then that would go there too. So I'm adding 5 apps. And of course, this is because phone yet. I'm sure that there will be lots more once I've so if you are actually installing a new phone, install your apps first and then go through this because you'll want to make that mindful, conscious choice for each of those apps. See, here we go. This is set a schedule. So this is when I'm telling it to deliver, and you can add multiple times through the day. Um, I guess I'm gonna say 7 a.m. I'd probably still be on the elliptical then. Let's give that a shot. And second summary, 6 p.m. too late for me. Too late for me. That is laughable because now we're getting into I might think about work instead of get my stuff done territory. So let's say 11:30 a.m. Because that way then I'll be out of my earliest meetings and hopefully on to doing something useful for the day. And then I summary. So let's say 5 p.m. Let's say 5. I know this isn't looking very far away. I want to make sure I want to make sure I finished logging my last client meeting for the day before I see it because sometimes I'll go down rabbit holes before I finish logging it. Um, and that's no good. So, all right, turn on notification summary. Look at me. Oh, this explains thing from the beta. Okay, so I was having an issue in the beta where it would show up and it was like above my other notifications. Like, I go to see, hey, what reminders have I gotten through the day? And, I need to check those off because a lot of times they're like, pack a thing or something. And that's a great thing for me to do on a break. And up at the top is the thing that so I had to scroll past the thing that was so unimportant. I said, don't bother me with it. I have to scroll past that to get to the time sensitive ones that just happen to be older. And that was a mess. I don't know if that's still how it is, but I'm loving this that it's actually giving you the option to say, show the next summary or not. So it says show the next summary in notification center before the scheduled time. Definitely leaving that off. But that explains a lot about what was happening. Okay, cool. So this is another place where you can go in and add more apps or remove them from your scheduled summary. I'm actually suspicious that when all the bugs get worked out, scheduled summary will make the most sense when there's multiple apps. The thing I find the most confusing is when there's only notifications from one app. And a lot of these apps, I don't get notifications from every single day. So if there's only one app that has a notification in it, you click on it and it goes to you click on the summary, and what you think it's going to do is expand. But what it does is it takes you into the app. And I think it was still doing that in the latest beta, 13.1. And it just takes you to the app. And I was like, no, I wanted to see what they were. I didn't want to actually go interact with it yet. Like, yeah. And so, anyway, that was, yeah, one of the issues I found. So let's take a look. Again, I'm not getting more of these. popping up. Let's talk about the announced notifications. This became more prominent again, I think in 14.5, but you can have Siri announce the notifications. Um, the It can be disruptive to have Siri announce notifications. I used to really hate this. They changed the audio settings so that it is much less annoying. So I've been actually experimenting with reading messages, and I think it's only doing it when my AirPods are in. And it gives you the option you can talk right after the message. Um, I think the thing that's confusing is it says, you know, Colleen has sent you this message. It doesn't read the long ones automatically, which is a gigantic mistake to me because those are the ones I want you to read out loud so I don't have to stop and read with my eyeballs. Maybe that's too disruptive, I'm not sure. The chime it makes to get your attention is way more pleasant and less stressful than it used to be. Also, I really like my Siri voice now, so that's helpful. But I didn't have it on for anything other than messages. And then it's only when I have my AirPods on that I've actually noticed it going through. I think if you had all of your notifications go off this way, it would be a very auditorily disruptive thing to experience. Let's look at what the settings actually are. So if I have announced notifications, um, okay, so it has this option where you can reply without saying, "Hey." However, it's not automatically texting them. So, they send a text and you think whatever you're replying with, it's going to send as a text message. You still have to say text the person and it goes through, which I find strange. Reply without confirmation. This assumes a lot more faith in Siri to get it right than I think Siri has earned. And I try to be a realist and not knock it, but I do really think that this is problematic. Huh, weird. Okay. Hmm, okay. I just saw a weird setting. So I wouldn't reply without confirmation. I would really make Siri say the thing to you. So then you'd see which ones you'd want to turn on or off. You have to do them all manually. Oh my goodness, Apple. Why is news on by default? This is so offensive. I'm sorry. If it's really time sensitive, then guess what? Alert for it. Also, it has TV on, which again, there's nothing ever that's going to happen in the TV app that's time sensitive. And it's just them trying to push their service, and it makes me so cranky. But theoretically, reminders, one of the updates I did, and I can't remember which one, it had some of these turn on again by default. And I turned them off except for messages. I found it very distracting to have the others on. And even the messages, it wasn't like I was thinking, what would be great? I think it would be great to have it read all my messages to me. It was, hey, they said they updated the feature. I will turn it on. I will leave it on until such a time as it annoys me too much and I turn it off. And it hasn't, which is interesting because the old one definitely did. I like this. So when you're screen sharing, which is at some point going to be released for things, it's either screen mirroring or you could be sharing it over FaceTime call or something like that, to allow notifications when you're screen mirroring. That is a spectacular feature. So theoretically, it shouldn't pop up with notifications on this phone while I'm mirroring it here. I don't know if it will count this because I'm doing it with a plug, but That is a cool feature that it's not doing that by default. Okay, I don't know why the Siri suggestions are in notifications, but it's an interesting thing to talk about. And I've mentioned it before, I think it was the video on, um, finding apps or using apps intentionally, maybe it was the screen time one of my older videos, for tech tips, I was talking about the Siri suggestions, and the reason I talk about it is because I really believe in very mindful computing. If we have a bad habit of using a particular app, the more it is put in our face, the more likely we're going to keep using it. The problem is a lot of these learning algorithms, they just learn what we do. They're not learning what we want to do. So in order to decrease that behavior, so let's say, I've got a 2 hour a day TikTok habit and I want to use TikTok less, but I don't really want to delete it from my phone. By default, these learning algorithms that I'll show you the suggestions that are saying like, "Hey, I'm suggesting apps that you might want to use." Well, yes, I've opened or installed all of these recently, theoretically. So these are, in theory, all fine things to be showing me. However, if TikTok is in there because it honestly just learned from my actual real world behavior, please definitely show the app right now. That may not help me because I see the icon and I go, yeah, I wonder if there's anything good on TikTok instead of that thing I definitely meant to do instead. So we have the option of changing it. What we can do is alter how the Siri suggests it. We can remove it from our screen, put it just in the app library. I did that with YouTube Analytics because it doesn't change very fast. I'm not that popular. Don't. It doesn't change very fast. But when I was first setting up a channel, it was like kind of fun to watch it happen. And so I was like, you know what? I don't need to see that. So I removed it from suggestions, but I still wanted to be able to search for it when it was actually appropriate to interact with it. And so mine is just an app library on my main phone, and it's not allowed to have suggestions. And it's because it was kind of a rabbit hole. It's a fine thing to look at once a month or so, but I don't need to live in it. And I wanted to be able to find it. So having those really granular suggestions was really helpful. So if we want the app to not show up in those suggestions because it's learning from our real behavior, oh, definitely don't remember where I was and take me right back there. Thanks. What we can do is turn off the suggestions. So I'm going to turn off the suggestions of anything that I think is giant rabbit hole for me. App Store, Apple Store. Hmm, I just need to delete some of these. Yeah, please never suggest news. Actually, I'll keep it on because I'm going to show it off, but I actually usually delete news from my phone entirely. And that's because at a certain point, they changed the Siri suggestion watch face, and I actually haven't checked it in watchOS 8. Um, but I wouldn't know because I deleted the app. They changed it so you couldn't remove news from the Siri suggestion face, which again, promoting their services and not in the best interest of the user, because it's good for no one's mental health to see the news all the time or their productivity. So there used to be a switch that would let you turn it off, and at some point, Apple removed it. It was just for news, which was really smart. But you can't do a lot of customizing of the Siri watch face, and they removed even what we had. So the only way to make sure that news didn't show up on the occasions that I wanted to use the Siri watch face, I had to remove the app entirely from my phone. And I didn't mind having it. Sometimes my partner will send news articles from Apple News, and it's convenient to look at them in there, but it's still opening on the web. So I kind of feel like I had a net gain because they try to push it in so many places that I find unhealthy, that it was a much lazier option than just removing it from all the other places. So that was what I found. Okay, so other things I might not want it to suggest. some of these I'm just looking through, I'm like, "Oh, gotta delete that app, gotta delete that app." Like, I'm never gonna need stocks to suggest. But most of my truly dangerous apps aren't actually here, so it's it's not really an issue. Yeah, most of these are just apps, they're not rabbit holes or anything like that, because I don't have those installed. Um, so you can see these look a little bit differently, like there's no more deliver quietly. It has scheduled, it has immediate. And see now I have interesting. Okay, I didn't know this because I had set up the other one. So now there is immediate delivery and scheduled summary, but I can still have time sensitive notifications turned on or off. And there is another difference from a developer perspective of time sensitive versus not scheduled, because notifications got more customizable, as did the focused modes or do not disturb. But they do take more work to set up and to customize and to wrap your head around, because just because a thing makes noise doesn't mean it gets time sensitive abilities. Time sensitive I could do this. Time sensitive abilities means that it can interrupt even some of your focused modes. So when you set up a focus mode, you could say, let nothing through, right? Um, for me, if you aren't an immediate family member with an emergency, I don't want to hear from you in the middle of the night while I'm asleep. No, I'm good. But you could say, hey, I'm working right now. I don't want to be interrupted by text, but maybe I want to be alerted by, um, I need to know when my Lyft driver's coming. That was one of the examples that they gave a lot. Okay, that's pretty time sensitive. There's somebody right there that you need to address right now. And so that was one of the ways. So I can have text messages alert me when I'm in normal mode, but I could say, but you know what? All of my family members are great. And just because I don't want it in the scheduled summary doesn't mean I want it while I'm in the middle of writing or some other deep focus kind of task or filming. I don't need that. So I could say something like, yeah, totally make a noise when I'm in normal mode. But when I'm working, don't do it unless you've been granted that time sensitive, which is another reason I'm having issues with Apple having put so many things by default into time sensitive. Because they can break through, it means that people who haven't really looked into this could get frustrated or confused about what it really means and let a lot of things in that maybe they shouldn't. Or maybe it's not in their best interest to let through. It honestly should be a little bit of a sacred territory, what really can break through those other focused modes. There are some people that, yeah, I'm okay with them calling no matter what I'm doing, but those are like 2 people. And lots of other people I love, it's not urgent. Um, so this adds to some of the complexity. Any niche focus mode, you can assign people that can break through, but it is sort of a manual, tedious process. So, looking at this, you could say, like, I don't want badges because I never want badges almost, but I could say, hey, for find my, yeah, totally break through because you're only going to alert me when I'm walking away from something. I don't know. But, oh gosh, a mail. Like, hey, there's not even an option to be time sensitive on email. Go you. But this is a little bit of a step back that if I really wanted to go to notification center, I can't just click one button, right? I have to click a bunch of buttons to say notification center only, which is too bad. But I guess there are more options too. And you can do customized ones for different accounts, like, really, I want iCloud to do nothing. So, really, I don't even want Notification Center for iCloud, but when I get my business accounts on here, I will allow them to go Notification Center. That's interesting. Customized, and you can do it by account. VIPs, no, just no. But I would let VIPs go to Notification Center. That's interesting, actually. So what does it look like on my old phone? Because I know it's working the way I want it to. Okay, I'm going to it from notifications. The other reason I'm setting this phone up as new is filming for a course on task management apps. I have so much garbage on this phone now that I've just let it run rampant all summer. It's it's ridiculous. I have so many apps on here. Okay, so it says immediate, notification center. When I go to the emails, oh, okay. So I think I got it. It's not awful. There we've hit a level of complex. I normally think of that as being a bad thing because it's alert, like it's a sound or a badge. But according to my other, all I have to do is remove the sound. I definitely don't want you buzzing either. Vibration, none. I hate that you still have to do that in 2 places. Almost nothing worse than a vibration that you have no idea what it's for or where it came from. It's just ridiculous. Okay, so there we go. I've got VIP alerts on, iCloud off. Yay! I don't have a big ugly number sitting there. And yeah, come the iCloud account that I completely ignore had 760 unread emails. They're almost all from Amazon. I try to be good about my business accounts and keeping those nice and tidy, but iCloud does not get such preferential treatment. That's just me being real. Okay, I have a text message. Oh, yeah. Okay. You see there's a focus suggestion. Um, by default, if I look at my focus modes, which let's actually talk about that and make it so you can see my screen. By default, we um, this is showing uh, this is showing that it's mirroring. So I'm guessing this would have the mirroring section apply to it also. Um, when I look at the focus modes, I have to quit this soon. Um, work and personal are there by default. If you leave them that way, at least during the beta happening now. But if you left them there during the beta, hey, it looks like you're at home. Do you want me to automatically turn on when you're at home? And maybe not. Maybe you want some time when you're not in a focus mode. By leaving the default ones on there, it got a little bossy. And so if you want one, you may think about deleting theirs and then starting one yourself that's, your active usable ones. So that's one possibility. I don't know if it's still being quite as aggressive, but it looks like from this notification center that it was. Let's see if I still have. So yeah, it says use smart activation to turn on personal time focus automatically based on signals like your location, app usage, and others. And that is cool, but you want to make sure that it's really when you want it. Some apps like shortcuts are currently struggling to deliver information that you might need at particular times. So if the notifications it has doesn't really work really well with the focus mode, you might not get them. And it probably makes if you don't have a time where you're not in a focus mode, then you never really know what it's like automatically. And then why do you have the notifications on at all? It's a little confusing. So it's something to think about within your system. So I'm going to delete a few apps on here because I don't think they need to be here. I can still do the jiggle. I can get my jiggle mode on. So I'm going to delete some apps and then I think I'll take a break and I'm probably going to come back and talk about focus modes. I just don't think I need these. No. It's just, I've never been so excited to delete anything. Delete news. I just It's so obnoxious. Oh, and delete podcasts. The only downside is I can't rate podcasts from the App Store anymore. So I do need it for that. And a lot of these others I'll figure out. Like the actual iTunes store, that doesn't need to be on my home screen. I don't need the Apple store to be on my home screen. So now it only lives in this app library over here. I thought I had badges off over here. I'm gonna have to fix that. Um, if I want to look for them, I can, but I don't need them like organized in some pretty folder anymore because they can still be on my device and not be visible. Honestly, I just open weather when I need it. I don't actually go to it at all. Um, the things I keep are like the ones that I may need a visual reminder of at some point, which I probably can't really go into right now, but App Store, I'm gonna get it when I need it. I'm probably not gonna look at it other times. Since we are looking at a new phone and updating for focus modes, one of the advantages of a focus mode can have different app screens available at different times. The advantage of this is that you could say, I have one for routines, and I only can see that screen of apps while I'm doing my routines, and maybe I can't see the one with, Pokemon in it. So I've got this screen, I can use it. Um, and it might only show up at a particular time, or it might reduce some of the other ones I can see. This could get you into a weird place if you're like, yeah, but I use OmniFocus in multiple modes or focus modes. That's fine because there's a weird thing of iOS 15 that I kind of love, although it could get weird. So it's no longer true that what lives on this app screen are the apps you have, right? Because they can live in the app library. So because that's true, what it means is you can have multiple instances of the same app. So let's say, even though these are actually totally arbitrary, this is my getting things done screen, and this is my getting done screen, and this one's my relaxing screen. I don't know why. And let's say that I wanted um, shortcuts to appear in both. I go find shortcuts. I press and hold one to the other screen. So now I can see. Now, apps aren't actually significantly easier to arrange than they be a little bit, but They're still kind of annoying. Um, so I can do that. I can make sure I have shortcuts on both screens. There we go. If things don't all fit in the dock. So yeah, a lot of different things that can be set up on one phone that's new. And those are some of the new things, at least that jumped out to me for iOS 15 on my new iPhone. One of the things I want to do is create a focus mode live on here, but I'm going to add some of my apps that I use because what I'm going to create is a routines focus mode. So I'm going to create the routines focus mode. This is for while I'm getting ready for bed or getting ready in the morning. And those are often led by shortcuts. I will say for most of the beta, those shortcuts were unusable, which has been just delightful. So the ones I needed for work, I was running off of my iPad or another device, but most of my routines gotten real neglected. Most of those are working again now in iOS 15.1 beta, but in any case, that's a little bit of a tangent. So what I'm going to do is set up a focus mode. I'm going to install the apps that I'll need, and then we'll just run through and set up a focus mode on here. And basically, this is the first day I've had free that I could do any live streaming since the stuff came out, and having this new phone was a great opportunity to do it. So, if you sat and watched this, thank you so much. If you had any questions, let me know in any comments. And yeah, if you have the new stuff, hopefully you're having fun with it. And I'll see you soon.